Hey, superstar. Listen, if you're in your 20s, come sit with me for a moment so I could be your auntie. I know sometimes adulthood doesn't quite feel like you imagine it to be. That transition from adolescence into young adulthood is crazy work. I know, because I remember. One minute you have limited autonomy, you're navigating curfews, asking to get permission so you could go use the bathroom in high school. And then suddenly, overnight, you're expected to choose a career, know how to pay bills, build healthy relationships, discover your purpose, keep a roof over your head, heal from your childhood, save for retirement, and all while somehow enjoying the best years of your life. That's a lot. So, if you've been wondering whether you're behind, I want you to hear from someone who's already walked that road. You're probably not behind. Actually, I think you're right on schedule. I'm also seeing this as the mother of a beautiful soul who is navigating her 20s right now. Now, watching her go through this season brings back so many memories of my own 20s. I remember my own journey, and now I have the privilege of watching the next generation experience it for themselves. Now, one of the things she'll tell you is how grateful she is to have grown up with a social scientist as her mom. She didn't realize it growing up, but now she sees that not everyone has someone in their corner helping them to make sense of life. And I get that too, because I too had a mom who kept it 100 with me. Now, she sheltered me from some things while keeping it too real with other things. But it was obviously the right combination and balance for me because I've never been afraid to go out and like live life, blaze new trails, even if the only way she can help me was to give me a pep talk as she helped brush the dirt off my shoulders. Now, my daughters remind me that a lot of their peers are trying to figure it out on their own or alone too. They don't always have a mentor or a trusted adult reminding them that it's okay to try things, change directions, make mistakes, and just learn as you go. Now, honestly, that's one of the reasons why I'm making this video. Sometimes you don't need another person telling you to wake up at 5 a.m., build four streams of income, or have your entire life figured out by the time you're 30. Sometimes you just need someone who's been there to explain what's happening. So come sit with me. I'll be your auntie for a minute. Let's talk about your 20s. Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Erica. I'm a retired social worker, a former C-suite executive, and the founder of Satori Synergy. Now, this is where I combine my expertise of sociology, human design, and astrology, along with my lifetime of experiences to help people understand themselves so they can understand their assignment. Work smarter, not harder. Now, one of the biggest misconceptions I see about adulthood is the idea that you're supposed to have it all figured out by 25. Who said that? Because real life certainly did not give me that message. From where I sit, your 20s aren't the decade where you're supposed to arrive. This is the decade where you're supposed to learn. So think about school. Nobody expects a third grader to understand calculus, right? That's because every grade has a different curriculum. So hear me out. I think about adulthood the same way. Every decade has a different assignment. Your 20s are for being a laboratory time. Your 30s, that becomes your blueprint. And then your 40s asks whether you're finally ready or not to live from an authentic place and use everything you've learned, etc., and so on for each decade. Today, we're talking about the 20s and unpacking literally what in the world is going on. Well, at least in the universe, technically. I think astrology is a good tool for this because it provides the language to help us clock where we are in that cycle of life. It orients us to where we are on our timeline and what's happening in our particular season of life. Now, I know you understand seasons: winter, spring, summer, fall. So life unfolds in a recurring seasons just like that, but on a larger scale, constantly taking you through your very own winter, spring, summers, and falls. Most people have celebrated astrology every single year without realizing it. What astrologers call your solar return, you call your birthday. That's your annual developmental milestone. So this is nothing new. You already use astrology every day. Like, I'm recording this on a Sunday. Sunday. Yesterday was Saturday. Saturn's day. Tomorrow's Monday. Moon day. So I'm just going to use it to explain your other developmental cycles and milestones as well. So every year the sun returns to the exact position it occupied in the sky when you were born. Every planet has that same birthday. Again, returning to the same place it was when you were born. The planet Jupiter returns about every 12 years compared to the sun 1 year, right? Saturn, that planet returns every 29 and a half years about. The planet Uranus, that's about every 84 years. So you know this already. Remember that science project where you studied the solar system and had to build it? So this is that, but applied in real life and show how it actually impacts you as an individual. Instead of just using it for NASA and rocket science, let's use it for social science. Now, let me tell you a little bit about me in my 20s. Growing up, I spent a good portion of my youth and early 20s trying to follow the path given to me, just like everyone else. We all do that. So different strokes for different folks, so it looks different for different people, but the expectations of family, your community that raised you, the culture you grew up in, your college experience, whatever the status quo is. I thought adulthood meant checking all the right boxes. Go to school, get a good job, just do all the things. And when I think about it, the wild part is I never knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. People would ask me all the time, and especially, when you're in school and career day, I never had an answer. I started college without declaring a major. Eventually, sociology found me because I couldn't stop asking one question. Why do people act like that? I was fascinated by people, how they act in groups, organizations, from their communities, as leaders, just human behavior overall. Now, looking back, that random curiosity wasn't distracting me from figuring out my purpose. Now I know it was my purpose introducing itself to me, saying, "Hi, nice to meet you. Follow your interests to find yourself." So life became my lab. And that's exactly what your 20s are supposed to be. Not proof that you're lost, but proof that you're learning. Every internship, every toxic manager, promotion, every layoff, every breakup, friendship, every side hustle, every decision, it's data. You're collecting information about yourself. So around age 21, something really interesting begins happening. Astrologically, we call it your first Uranus square. Translation meaning this is where you begin asking, who am I when I'm not trying to become who everyone else expected me to be? That's a powerful question. Maybe you change your major. Maybe you leave your hometown. Maybe you realize your parents' dreams aren't your dreams. Maybe your beliefs begins to change. That's not rebellion. It's just adulthood. Now, from a sociological perspective, you're moving from being shaped primarily by your environment into actively shaping your own identity. Now, parents, if you're watching this part is for you. Your young adult isn't necessarily rejecting you. They're discovering themselves. So give them some room and some grace. That's one of the greatest gifts that we can offer. Then, around 24, Jupiter comes back around for its second return. You spend another 12 years gathering experiences. Now, remember I told you that your Jupiter birthday is about every 12 years. Again, the sun is annual, But I like to think of Jupiter as grades in the school of life. So at age 12, you started first grade. That was your first Jupiter return. Here at 24, you begin second grade with your second Jupiter return or birthday. Now the question begins changing. So instead of what job can I get, you begin questioning what kind of work actually fits me? What environments bring out the best in me? What are my natural strengths that keep showing up? And what if I stop comparing myself to everyone else? What direction would I naturally go in? Jupiter's not asking you to know everything, but it is giving you permission to stay curious, or at least get curious. This is your second grade assignment to work on between the ages of 24 and 36 when Jupiter returns again. It's asking you to elevate yourself, expand yourself. Then somewhere between ages 27 and 30, the saxophones begin to get louder. The planet Saturn enters the chat and walks into your regularly scheduled mental headquarters meeting for the first time. It has finally returned to the position in the sky where it was when you were born. Now, you have 3 Saturn birthdays in your lifetime. Right before age 30, this one, your first Saturn return, and then again at 60 and around 90. Now, if Jupiter is that adventurous friend and encouraging you to go explore the world and expand your horizons and wishing you luck as you take off after they drop you off at the airport, Saturn is that TSA at the airport terminal. Okay, stay with me. So watch this. You finally packed your bags. You've got your boarding pass. You're excited about where you're headed. And then you hear, step over here for a moment. They direct you to the body scan and scan your luggage. They ask a few questions. They make you take off your shoes and empty out of your pockets. Pull out your laptop out of your bag and throw away things that you thought you needed, but you aren't allowed to carry to where you're going. It feels inconvenient. Sometimes it feels personal, but TSA isn't trying to ruin your trip. They're making sure you're prepared for the journey ahead. That's Saturn. And before it clears you for takeoff to the next stage of your adulthood, it starts inspecting your baggage. But in real life, it's not your suitcase. It's your career, your relationships, your habits, your commitments, and your beliefs, the identities you've carried around for years, your emotional baggage, your social baggage, your mental baggage. Saturn starts asking, are you sure you still need all of this to take with you where you're going? Now, for me, my Saturn return was quite a wake-up call and the introduction to real life adulting 101. Within the relatively short time period of my Saturn return years, I became a mother, I became a wife, I left the security of a local good government job as a foster care social worker and started my first crisis intervention family services business, and a host of other heavy and scary things that I may write a book about one day. But the point is, everything changed. My head was spinning, but I just remembered to put my head down and just keep swimming. And I realized something. The young woman who had spent her teens and early 20s trying to follow the expectations of my family and my community and the culture that raised me, she had retired. She'd done her job. She got me here. Now it's time to become the woman I was actually created to be. That's what Saturn does. It doesn't punish you, but it does mature you, whether you like it or not, ready or not. And there's another way I think about Saturn. You know that protective father who answers the door when someone comes to pick up his daughter for a date? Now, listen, if you're in your 20s, take a moment and imagine what was it like for me when my dates had to call my house to ask me out on the landline phone because cell phones weren't invented yet. And my dad would answer, hi, Dad, love you, thanks. So Saturn is not trying to stop the date. He just has one question. What are your intentions with my daughter? That's Saturn. It asks, what are your intentions with your career? What are your intentions with your relationship? What are your intentions with your natural talents, your money, your health? What are you going to do with your life? Those aren't punishment questions, but they are questions that help you build the foundation. Because Saturn isn't interested in appearances. It's not impressed by job titles, how many followers you have, your salary, or what look good on Instagram or LinkedIn. Saturn cares about substance. It wants to know if you're equipped and whether you are ready to build a life that can actually support you in where you're going. That's why so many people change careers during their Saturn return. Some end relationships, some start businesses, go back to school, or sometimes finally admit, I've been living and building someone else's dream. Now, from the outside, those decisions can look sudden, but they're usually years in the making, quiet reflection that's finally becoming visible. Saturn isn't trying to make your life harder, but it is trying to make you stronger, because the next season of adulthood, your 30s, requires a stronger foundation than the last one, your teens. So here's your takeaway. Uranus helps you separate. Jupiter helps you discover. Saturn helps you decide. 3 planets, 3 different assignments back to back. Uranus says, become your own person. Jupiter says, explore new possibilities. Saturn says, now build something worthy of the person you're becoming. If you're in your 20s, don't treat this decade like a race. Treat it like research. Every wrong job taught you something. Every parking ticket taught you about consequences. Every difficult boss sharpened your leadership philosophy. Every relationship taught you something about love. Every disappointment revealed one more thing that does not belong in your future. None of it was wasted. I promise. One day you'll look back and realize your 20s weren't the decade where you were supposed to have all the answers. It was the decade where you finally started asking the right questions. So, astrology helps us understand when these developmental seasons unfold in your life. What human design does is help you understand how to move through these seasons using your natural talents and the tools that you were born with so you could build the life that you were supposed to live. Think of it as like your operating manual or your user's guide. Now, together, they help you understand not just where you are, but also how you are uniquely designed to navigate through your journey. So if you'd like to understand your own blueprint and see how you are designed to thrive, I'm here to help. Grab your human design chart on my website, satorisynergy.com. Read my blog post there or watch my content here on YouTube. Then when you're ready for one-on-one guidance, schedule a private session with me. I'll orient you so you can better understand yourself and understand your assignment. Now, if you know someone in their 20s who's trying to figure out themselves or adulthood, do them a favor. Share this video with them. Because when things are already hard, they may not need another lecture. Sometimes they just need a little perspective. I'll leave it there for now. Until next time, go be great, superstar.